This island archipelago has a long history. Today it's a beautiful national park, but the ghosts of the past linger. The Saugeen Ojibwe people who inhabited this land for thousands of years believed this island to be cursed by evil spirits. Many vessels and souls have been lost here. Lighthouse keepers, cut off from the world, helplessly witnessed numerous ships go down in the treacherous waves. Today, the sparkling turquoise water hides a marine graveyard. The natural beauty of this place disguises a harsh reality that most visitors today don't experience. Come with me as I explore this amazing place, rich with human history and stunning geologic features. Located 6.5 kilometers off the northern coast of the Bruce Peninsula, Flower Pot Island is only accessible by boat. The island is in Fathom 5 National Marine Park and on the traditional territory of the Saugeen Ojibwe First Nations. Long before the arrival of cottagers, glass-bottom boats, and compost toilets, this area was inhabited by First Nations tribes. Saugeen Ojibwe Nations is the collective name of the various indigenous groups that controlled the peninsula until the mid-1800s. Archaeological evidence suggests that they occupied this territory for over 7,000 years. In the 1850s, this area became a busy commercial shipping lane. Vast numbers of schooners carrying lumber, coal, horses, and logging supplies, and men traversed these waters. The three-masted sailing ships were eventually replaced by propeller-driven vessels. Neither could put up a good fight against the ill-tempered and moody conditions around the northern Bruce Peninsula. Today, there are 24 shipwrecks in these waters and has become one of the premier diving spots in Canada. Before heading to Flower Pot Island, the Blue Heron took us over one of the most famous wrecks in these waters, the Sweepstakes. This well-preserved schooner ran aground in 1885 after hitting rocks near Cove Island. She was towed to safety but didn't survive the trip and sunk in the harbor. You can get great views of the wreck from the top deck of the boat. And if you move quickly, you can also get a totally different perspective from the glass-bottom viewing floor down below. The people aboard these ships were lucky, but many shipwrecks here have a darker history. In September of 1882, the steamship Asia, overloaded with workers, horses, and supplies, set sail for logging camps along the eastern coast of Georgian Bay. At around midnight, a vicious storm moved in, churning up the water and creating massive waves. As the ship was pummeled by wave after wave, the captain ordered much of the cargo on the deck to be thrown overboard. It was, however, too little, too late. One final wave smashed into the hull, and the Asia began to come apart and take on water. Sinking almost immediately, many men went down with the ship. Others jumped into the water, but were never seen again. Within minutes, 100 men drowned in the turbulent waters. 20 people, including 2 teenagers, managed to climb into the only lifeboat. As the morning light came over the horizon, it offered little comfort as the storm continued to rage and the lifeboat was capsized countless times. Each time they righted the small dinghy, fewer survivors climbed back into the boat. Eventually, it was only the 2 teens that remained. Thankfully, as the day grew brighter, the teenagers spotted land. They moored the lifeboat and were rescued the following day. They were the only survivors. This is just one of many harrowing stories from the waters that surround Flower Pot Island. It's beautiful today, but the conditions here can change quickly. The rocky coastline and the famous flower pots come into view as you circle around the island clockwise. Once on shore, you're free to roam, and my dad and I were eager to split off from the throngs of visitors milling about at the trailheads. There's basically one main loop trail, but keep an eye out for the little pathways leading to the water. We took the first one we could see and walked along the rocks and shoreline as far as we could. The mainland and the larger islands in Fathom 5 have bears and rattlesnakes, but neither species live on the smaller Flower Pot Island, making the cold water and slippery rocks the primary concern. It's advisable to wear sturdy shoes here. The terrain is rocky and uneven. It wasn't long before we came across the first flower pot. Native legend tells the ill-fated story of 2 lovers from opposing tribes. Shining Rainbow, a princess of the Ottawa tribe, and Bounding Deer, a prince of the Chippewa tribe, hid their affections from the elders. Knowing that neither family would approve of such a union, they chose to elope. Under a full moon, the pair set off from the shores of the peninsula, but were soon tracked and pursued by members of their tribes. In a desperate attempt to be free, the lovers pointed their canoe toward Manitou, today known as Flower Pot Island. It was a feared but sacred island believed to be inhabited by devils, including the dreaded Little Spirit. As their bow touched the shore, waves rose and billowed, followed by a deafening crash. Little Spirit had laid claim to the absconding lovers, petrifying them in rock and stone pillars on the shoreline. The passage of time and exposure have gradually weathered the stacks, but if you look closely at the large flower pot, you might still see the face of Bounding Deer, lost prince of the Chippewa. I prefer the native legend to the geologic story. It's a good reminder that we're just passing through today, but many people have laid eyes on this spectacular scenery for thousands of years. The meaning and importance of this place has changed over the millennia, but what remains constant is that people have always found this place to be special for one reason or another. As we continued our hike, we came across another amazing geologic feature, the cave. Climb the staircase up and step inside the massive cave that was carved out by waves thousands of years ago. It's amazing to think the water level was this high at one time. The cave and many others like it around here were created because the bedrock is made of a hard capstone with softer rock and sediment below. So the waves carved out the softer rock, leaving these awesome caves. The trail continues through a beautiful wooded section before arriving at a T-junction and the light station. This well-preserved and scenic location is a great place to have lunch. You'll find bathrooms here and plenty of sitting areas. But there's no food service or garbages on the island, so make sure you pack a lunch and drinks and to pack out any garbage you have. Bring an extra plastic bag to store your garbage for the way out. You'll be able to dump it once you're back on the mainland. Enjoying our lunch and the peace and quiet of this remote light station makes you wonder what it was like to live out here at the turn of the 20th century. First built in 1897, the light station would help mariners navigate the rocky and unpredictable waters of Georgian Bay. The light station had several adventurous keepers over the years, including William Spears, who was the second longest serving keeper. With his wife and 8 kids, they called the light station home from 1912 to 1937. Head inside to see the home they lived in and the rustic accommodations. You can't help but get an eerie feeling peering out of the bedroom windows. Many lighthouse keepers witnessed ships sink just offshore, but were helpless to do anything. All they could do was watch. The harsh reality of life out here must have sunk in on those blustery days. From the light station, you can continue along the loop trail, which cuts through the interior of the island, but before you go, backtrack to the T-junction and continue along the raised concrete path, which will take you out to where the actual lighthouse once stood. It's no longer there, but replaced with a newer, modern light. This unassuming path was actually stunning. I've hiked all over the Bruce Peninsula, and often I get the feeling of being on the California coast or hiking in Acadia National Park on the Atlantic. There's a distinct feeling which I can't quite place when walking in these wild coastal areas. It's a special feeling and I love it. It's the coastal breeze and the sound of the waves just beyond the tree line, the elevated trail with expansive views of the deep blue water. All these things combined make for a nostalgic experience. Leave a comment if you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, don't miss this section of the hike. We took our time hiking out here, so instead of doing the full loop, we walked back the same way we came. It's really important that you time your hike properly or you risk missing the return boat. We booked a 4-hour window, which was perfect. It gave us plenty of time to explore without feeling rushed. We walked straight back without stopping from the light station to the docks, and it took us about 25 minutes, including a stop at the bathrooms. So make sure to give yourself 30 minutes at least to walk back before your return departure. If you get back to the docks early and want to catch an earlier return boat than the scheduled time on your ticket, they will basically put you on a standby list, and if there's room on the boat, they'll welcome you aboard. Speaking of the boats, you have 2 tour companies to choose from, Bruce Anchor or Blue Heron. I booked us on the Blue Heron because I was able to select a 4-hour time slot on the island, and the longest I could find on Bruce Anchor was 3 hours. Both tour companies have their offices and parking lot right on Highway 6, which is the main road into Tobermory. You'll see Blue Heron first, then about 100 feet further, you'll find Bruce Anchor. Both are on the left-hand side. With Blue Heron, they offer a free shuttle from the parking lot to the harbor, but we decided to walk and it only took us about 5 minutes. They have washrooms inside the Welcome Center, and this is the last opportunity for clean and flushable bathrooms. When you reach Little Tub Harbor, stay to the left and follow the boardwalk. There are several Blue Heron vessels, so check your ticket to see which boat you're on. Once aboard, I recommend heading straight up the stairs and finding a seat along the railing. You'll have fantastic views of the harbor and shipwrecks. The village of Tobermory is pretty nice, but it's tiny. You can basically see the whole thing from the docks. There's lots of great restaurants overlooking the picturesque harbor, and there's nice shops too. It's definitely worth wandering around. If you found this video helpful or interesting, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss new informative travel videos. I don't always know where I'll be next, but I do know that I'll be out there exploring, and I invite you to join me. Thanks for watching. See you next time.